Oh, wow.
Eminem was getting extorted by some Crips.
Meaning that they're saying you can't come out here unless you pay us, or...
Yeah, maybe like he was paying them money and just like...
Eminem was that one rapper nobody ever wanted to test, not even Will Smith. So, when Will walked up and smacked Chris Rock across the face at the 2022 Oscars, yeah, the world gasped, but real ones asked, would he have tried that with M? Cause let's not forget, back in the early 2000s, it almost happened. And what followed? Who? Let's just say Will probably still wishes he handled it way different. Eminem wasn't just some loud white boy. He came out the coldest streets of Detroit. This was a man who stared Suge Knight in the face and lived to rap about it. Keep watching, cause it gets wilder. Way before the Oscars, way before that slap, before the world even thought Will Smith could lose his cool on live TV, he was the golden boy of rap. We're talking late 90s vibes. Bill Clinton still in the White House, MTV running the culture, and Will, he was untouchable. He'd gone from the goofy, lovable Fresh Prince to full-on box office royalty, dropping hits like Men in Black and Independence Day, and the wild part, he did it without curse words, without drama, and still went multi-platinum. Clean bars, Grammy wins, and not a single scandal in sight. Will's solo debut, Big Willie Style, dropped in '97 and went crazy. Over 10 million sold worldwide. Then came Millennium in '99, another chart killer that bagged him a Grammy in early 2000. Will was the proof that rap ain't gotta be gritty, vulgar, or violent to sell big, and he knew it. So when he hit the stage at the 42nd Annual Grammys that February and boldly said, "I've never used profanity in my records. Rap doesn't need curses to succeed," the crowd clapped. But behind the applause, some jaws clenched. Cause way out in Detroit, a storm was already loading up. That same year, a 26-year-old Marshall Mathers, the world now knew him as Eminem, had just dropped the Slim Shady LP, and it was madness, a blood-soaked, drug-laced roller coaster of bars, chaos, and twisted humor. This wasn't no knockoff Vanilla Ice. This was Slim Shady, a whole menace, born from struggle, addiction, and unfiltered rage. Eminem was raw, wild, vulgar, and real. Everything Will Smith wasn't. So when M heard Will's little no profanity flex, that hit deep. It didn't sound like a neutral comment. It sounded like shade, like a jab aimed at the rappers who didn't have a sitcom cushion or Hollywood cash, the ones who had to spill pain on tracks just to get noticed. So in 2000, when Eminem dropped the real Slim Shady, he came swinging. No filter, no mercy. Right in the middle of that now iconic beat, he fired off. Will Smith don't got a curse in his raps to sell records? Well, I do, so forget him and forget you too. It was reckless, it was loud, it was unapologetic, and that one bar set the whole industry on fire. Radio stations had to bleep it, parent groups were furious, but the youth, man, they ate it up. They screamed it in school hallways, blasted it in basements. This wasn't just a diss, it was a straight-up rebellion against that safe, squeaky clean version of rap Will Smith stood for. And that bar, it wasn't just petty, it sent a clear message. I'm not here to play nice, but here's where it gets real. Eminem's jab at Will, it wasn't just about curse words, it was about power, about respect, about who really earned their spot at the top of hip-hop in the 2000s. While Will was getting flown out to movie sets and walking red carpets, M was dodging lawsuits, dealing with addiction, fighting off censorship, and getting death threats. He wasn't some polished entertainer. He was a warrior, a survivor. And unlike Will, Eminem didn't care about being everyone's favorite. Forget trophies. He wanted respect. And that one verse, it sparked something darker. Cause from that moment on, folks started whispering, was Will Smith scared of Eminem? But the bigger question, what if they ever came face to face? To most of Hollywood, Eminem looked like a gimmick. Just some bleach blonde white boy yelling into a mic. Loud, reckless, probably temporary. Will Smith, like many, thought he was just a shock value rapper who'd flame out fast. But behind the curtain, it was way more serious. By '99, back in Detroit, M's rise wasn't just fueled by controversy or catchy hooks. It was powered by deep street ties, real ones. And that foundation, it made him dangerous. Eminem's right-hand man, Deshaun Proof Holton, wasn't just a childhood buddy. He was respected royalty on Detroit's East Side, a battle rap legend and the heartbeat of D12, a crew known for more than just bars. They had real street weight behind them. Proof wasn't just some hype man. He was M's protector, his street consultant, and the stamp of authenticity. When M stepped into dicey circles, Proof made sure he stepped out untouched. In a city where being the wrong color in the wrong block could get you checked or worse, Proof made M untouchable in Detroit. And M's influence, it didn't just stop at 8 Mile, it was spreading fast. Back in '98, Dr. Dre signed Eminem to Aftermath Entertainment, and that move flipped the entire rap game on its head. Dre, already a legend from his NWA and Death Row days, had just found a new weapon. With Dre's fire production, deep industry ties, and business muscle behind him, M went from a local menace to a national problem. And Will Smith, he had no clue that behind Eminem's wild, clownish image was a man quickly becoming one of the most protected and plugged-in forces in music. By 2000, M wasn't just rapping about chaos, he was living in it. That summer, he got arrested for pistol whipping a man outside Hot Rock Sports Bar in Warren, Michigan. He didn't get jail time, but he did get probation. This wasn't some Hollywood script. M was dealing with real beef inside and outside the booth. Then, in early 2002, things got even bigger. A Queens-bred mixtape shark named Curtis 50 Cent Jackson linked up with Eminem through a joint deal between Shady Records and Dre's Aftermath. At that point, 50 had already survived 9 gunshots, got dropped by Columbia, and was straight up blacklisted in the industry. Folks thought he was too hot to touch, but Eminem didn't flinch. He brought him in anyway. With Dre's money and Interscope's machine behind them, it was game on. They built a machine, G-Unit, Shady, and Aftermath formed a power triangle that could make or break careers with ruthless precision. When Eminem snapped on a track, it wasn't just him talking, it was Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Proof, D12, Jimmy Iovine, and a whole army of lawyers, hitters, and strategists standing behind every bar. But M's real fearlessness wasn't proven on wax. It showed in the shadows, in the presence of Death Row's ghost. Suge Knight, co-founder of Death Row Records, wasn't just a label boss. He was a full-blown intimidator, tied to the Bloods and known for violent run-ins. In the early 2000s, Suge was still lurking behind the scenes of West Coast rap, and everyone feared crossing him. And then came that moment, the one Compton's Own the Game still remembers clearly. Suge Knight rolled up deep, lights dimmed, tension snapped tight, and that signature Suge energy filled the room. He wasn't invited, didn't care. Surrounded by muscle, he stepped in like he owned the place. Most folks froze, some quietly dipped. But Eminem, he didn't move an inch. Word is, he stood tall, ready to swing if it popped off. Game set it himself. M was ready for war. And 50, still fresh from the streets, stood right beside him. That moment changed everything. Suge ruled with fear. But this time, that Detroit white boy wasn't just rapping tough. He meant it, and fans started asking, were Eminem's bodyguards really just bodyguards? Yeah, Eminem had security at his shows, but according to some folks close to the streets, it ran way deeper than hired muscle. Word is, M had backing from Samoan gangs out in LA, groups known for loyalty, strength, and not playing games. These weren't no dudes in suits. This was the Samoan Army. Real street enforcers who'd been active since the 90s, respected across South Central for holding it down. Meanwhile, Will Smith, he was out here moving in movie sets and boardrooms. 2 different worlds, 2 different rule books, and M's was built for war. By 2001, Will Smith was deep in the Hollywood fast lane, hosting award shows, shaking hands with diplomats, snapping photos with presidents. His name was spotless, his image polished like a brand deal. Will wasn't built for rap beefs in alleyways or late-night parking lot confrontations. His chess moves made through agents, publicists, and billion-dollar studios. So when Eminem fired off shots in a track, Will stayed quiet, because silence wasn't fear, it was strategy. By that point, beefing with Eminem wasn't just clashing with a rapper. It meant stepping into war with an entire industry-backed powerhouse. From Dre's cold-blooded business plays, to Proof's street presence, to 50 Cent's rising empire, M wasn't just a rapper, he was a force. And Will? He saw the writing on the wall. To the public, that Grammy speech sounded harmless, but behind the scenes, it shook the room. Will Smith was the poster boy, clean-cut, positive, family-friendly. The media loved him. Parents cheered him on, another safe face in a genre constantly accused of promoting violence. But behind the curtain, the tension was bubbling. Eminem wasn't smiling. Insiders from Interscope and Aftermath later said M didn't take Will's speech as some general feel-good message. He took it personal. That wasn't just about clean music, that was about control. Two versions of hip-hop were clashing, one made for TV, the other built from dirt and scars. And in M's mind, Will wasn't speaking for himself. He was speaking for the whole Hollywood machine. The studios, the labels, the award shows, all the suits who never wanted a rapper like Eminem to have a seat at their table. By mid-2000, Eminem was feeling the pressure everywhere. Behind the scenes, he was getting swarmed. FCC regulators picking apart his lyrics, parental watchdogs demanding edits, and talk shows straight up banning him from performing raw. His music videos censored to pieces, and the lawsuits piling high, his own mom, his ex-wife, even random folks mad about his lyrics, all coming for a check. He felt boxed in, surrounded. So when Will Smith made that no profanity flex at the Grammys, right as the Slim Shady LP was exploding, M saw it as intentional, like the industry had picked Will, their clean, polished, safe golden boy, to be their smiling assassin, not just shade, but a calculated move. And Eminem clapped back the only way he knew, through the booth. Just 3 months after that Grammy moment, in May 2000, he unleashed The Real Slim Shady, a wild, sarcastic, no-holds-barred anthem off the Marshall Mathers LP, produced by Dr. Director. It wasn't slick or subtle. It was a direct jab to the neck. Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records? Well, I do, so forget it. And forget you, too. That line shook radio waves, school hallways, and every record shop across the country. Yeah, it was messy, but it was also unskippable. It stamped him as the raw, untamed voice of his era. By June 2000, the track had already hit #1 on the UK charts, and it wasn't slowing down. Top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. MTV spinning the video on heavy rotation. Eminem wasn't just hot, he was worldwide now, and his target crystal clear. Meanwhile, Will Smith's album Millennium, which had dropped just 6 months earlier in late '99, was already starting to slide down the charts. Even with solid numbers and the single Will 2K, it just couldn't keep up with M's cultural chokehold. Then came the whispers. Industry insiders claimed that not long after M's diss dropped, a closed-door meeting popped off, either at Sony Music or Columbia Pictures. The message to Will: stand down. No response, no diss tracks, no interviews, radio silence. One rumor points straight at Dr. Director allegedly Dre, who had solid ties in Hollywood and had even worked with some of Will's old collaborators, gave Will a personal heads up, let it go. Some say it was said professionally, others say it came with a bit more bite. Either way, the result was crystal clear. Will Smith never said another word about Eminem. No interviews, no lyrics, not even a slick comment. Publicly, he pivoted hard into film, starring in Ali, 2001, Men in Black 2, 2002, and Bad Boys 2, 2003. Rap, that became a side gig. Meanwhile, Eminem dropped the Marshall Mathers LP in May 2000, and it exploded, selling 1 million copies in its first week. 1.76 million copies in its first week. The Marshall Mathers LP shattered records and held that title for over a decade. But behind the glitz, tension was thick. BET Awards, MTV Movie Awards, Grammy pre-parties. Both men showed up, but never once connected. No handshakes, no daps, not even eye contact. Eminem usually posted up with Proof or 50 Cent, kept his distance. Will, always flanked by family and publicists, did the same. Insiders said event planners had to stagger their arrivals, seat them in different zones, just in case the wrong word slipped and couldn't be taken back. Because even though Will was still the polished superstar and M the wild card, by now the power was leaning heavy toward the problem child. By 2002, Eminem wasn't just spitting bars. He was stepping into Hollywood's backyard. 8 Mile was in motion. Studios were hitting his line. And behind him, a powerhouse trio. Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, and a hungry, rising 50
match
Cent.
How big the actual records are. The one Grammy I have is for Crack a Bottle. I couldn't even have that without him. You know, and that's why I have so much value.
He wasn't just surviving the Hollywood machine. He was starting to shape it. And Will, for all his charm and media training, he knew better than to spark a war he couldn't control. So he chose silence. Cold, calculated silence that lasted decades. Fans assumed it faded, but nah. The tension just slipped underground where real Hollywood beef simmers. 'Cause out there, not every rivalry ends with a diss track. Some just wait, quiet and loaded. Sometimes beef don't disappear. It just waits for the right moment to strike back. By the early 2000s, Eminem wasn't just the loud white boy with crazy bars. He was moving like a commander. Every step, calculated. Every circle, protected. The public still saw a wild, controversial rapper. But in the industry and in the streets, folks were starting to see the real picture. M wasn't just talking violent. He was ready for it. By 2003, whispers started floating. Certain Crip-affiliated sets in South Central LA wanted them to check in before filming or performing. And in street culture, that ain't no friendly heads up, that's a respect call. Most artists dodge the drama or send someone else. But M, he had his own way of handling pressure. But Eminem didn't fold, not once. He pulled up anyway, strapped with protection most folks didn't even know existed. According to sources close to Aftermath, M's security in LA didn't come from big-name bodyguards in fancy suits. It came from Dr. Dre's underground network, including a Samoan set long rumored to be Dre's silent muscle. These were the same men who once patrolled Death Row Records during the Wild Soog night days. They knew how real violence moved and how to shut it down. Their loyalty to Dre ran deep, so when it came to Eminem, Dre's biggest weapon, they made sure nothing touched him. But Eminem wasn't just leaning on Dre's power, he was building his own. Back in Detroit, his right-hand Proof, D12's frontman, was holding it down. From threats to clout chasers, Proof handled it all. He wasn't just spitting bars, he carried real weight in the streets. If something popped off in the 313, Proof was the buffer. Meanwhile, in New York, M had locked arms with 50 Cent, who was already street certified before Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped in 2003. And when 50 came in, he brought the whole G Unit with him, a squad from Southside Queens, known for surviving real gunplay. Together, they formed a coast-to-coast alliance under Shady/Aftermath. And word is, M personally backed 50's come up, tours, promo, security, all of it. There was no official paperwork. But in a 2003 Hot 97 interview, 50 Cent said it loud. Eminem believed in me when nobody else did. He didn't just rap with me, he protected me. By then, M wasn't moving solo anymore. Whether it was an awards show in LA, a party in Miami, or a press stop in Chicago, his steps were layered. Private guards, street-connected allies, silent muscle, everywhere. He saw what happened to Tupac. He saw how others got caught trying to balance fame and street beef without a real structure. So M moved smarter. He built Shady Records into a fortress. In 2004, during a show in LA, a known West Coast set reportedly snuck backstage. Why? No one knows, but witnesses say they dipped quick, greeted not just by security, but by Dre's Samoan squad and Detroit enforcers flown in just for that night. Eminem wasn't some easy-to-catch celebrity. He had real alliances in Detroit, New York, and LA, the three grittiest rap battlegrounds in America. And he didn't move like a rapper beefing over bars. He moved like a man ready for real war. His music, full of clues. Tracks like White America, Till I Collapse, and Like Toy Soldiers weren't just songs, they were warnings. Metaphors about betrayal, being watched, and the heavy price of leadership. People thought his paranoia was for show. Nah, it was how he survived. Will Smith had agents and studio deals protecting him. Eminem, he had the streets. By 2005, folks still debated, is M just a crazy genius or something darker? But rappers, labels, even certain sets who crossed him, they already knew the answer. Eminem didn't just talk about pulling up, he pulled up with backup you'd never even see coming. So why'd Will Smith even bring his name up? Some say it was jealousy, others think it was pressure from Hollywood. Clean up hip-hop, protect your image. But here's where it blew up on him. Eminem made Will look soft, outdated, industry-friendly, and worse, he exposed the fear behind that polished Hollywood smile. When M hit the Grammys, rocking a free Yayo shirt, that wasn't for the suburbs, that was a direct broadcast to the streets. The internet went wild. Everyone started saying it. Will Smith ain't built for this kind of war. And truth is, they weren't lying. After that infamous moment when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, the internet exploded. Memes everywhere. Would Will have slapped Eminem like that? The answer? Highly unlikely. Even though M's older now, those wild stories from the 2000s still haunt people. He wasn't just unpredictable, he was flat out dangerous. Some insiders even claim M once chased down a Detroit DJ who wouldn't spin his record with a weapon in hand. No charges, no proof. But the whispers never stopped. Eminem wasn't playing a character, he was the character. And Will, he never really bounced back as a rapper. His next albums came and went with barely a ripple. Meanwhile, Eminem dropped The Eminem Show, one of the biggest albums of the decade. Some fans even believe Dre doubled down on M right after that Will Smith Grammy moment, on purpose. Again, nothing's confirmed, but everything points to one fact. Eminem took that jab from Will personal and clapped back in a way that left no room for comeback. Insiders say Will told close friends years later that he underestimated M badly. And after that Oscar slap, some folks claim it wasn't even about Chris Rock. It was Will unleashing 20 years of bottled up rage, just aimed at the wrong dude. Today, Eminem's in the Hall of Fame. Will? He's got the Oscar, but his name still trends for all the wrong reasons. All cause in 1999, he aimed at the wrong white boy. Eminem never needed a second verse. That one line in The Real Slim Shady said it all. And Will, deep down he knew, Eminem wasn't just the better rapper. He was the kind of man you don't want to cross in real life. Some beef drags on for months. Others stay quiet for decades. But this one, it ended before it even began. Because with M, sometimes one line is all it takes. And for Will Smith, that line didn't just sting, it aged like a warning shot. One he's probably still hearing in his head today. Make sure to like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to GossUp for more heat like this.